Today, inshallah, we're still continuing about Zakat. And he's talking about different types of Zakat Al Istighlal. And this is something like when you're talking about something that you invest in. Like when you have rent, when you lease something, you don't make Zakat on the principal itself, but you do it on the money that you can gain of it, all in it, after it's spent a year. Like if you have a car and you rent it, he could do it. If you get an income out of it, people say, the scholars say, so he puts it in the money where he have to have like a whole year to go through. So he could combine all of this with his other investment where he could put it in that account, and then he could count on it the annual once a year comes on that, then he could pay the zakah. And it has to be, of course, over the minimum that is required. And the Sheikh is saying there is an ijtihad that it says that it is 1/10 because the net of this profit, if you take all the original stuff to its owner and take in the expenses, and like when you have a car and you rent it, you have to use a percentage for the usage itself, the oil, the tires, and so on and so forth. And that's why they measure it just like the zakah of the plants. But the majority of the scholars, they are on the first opinion that it is the zakah of money on the amount of money that you gain out of this investment, and this is what you add it to. When it goes over a year, then you can pay the zakah on it, and you pay 2.5%. This is the verdict in the Fiqh committee in Egypt and also in the Islamic conference. They agreed on the same thing, that it is not required on the real estate or the part that your principal investment, but you pay the zakah on the income that you get gain out of it after it goes over a year. And what also confirmed that, and this is something that's nothing new, because people still rent shops and houses, and no one in our history before has ever considered this as part of plans. And there's a big difference between the plans and this, because if you have a plane or a car could get an accident, a plane could go down, or a ship could drown. But the earth, when you are comparing the real estate to the plants, the land or the ground that you plant on it, it will not go into, there is no risk in it, so you don't pay, so you cannot compare this to that. And the other difference is the plant, you pay zakah when the fruit comes out, when the cultivation. But the money comes out of the renting and leasing, you pay it every year. And the plants, you make zakah on it on the first time. Like if I have a farm, and I have 100 tons of wheat, and I took the zakah on it. And this wheat stayed with me 20 years. I'm not going to pay zakah on it. Where the money, whether you get it from a rent or whatever, if you keep every year you keep it without using it, you have to pay zakah on it. Imam Shafi says, because I did not know anyone who disagree, and if I knew anything, because if I and the Shafi'i is saying, the point the Shafi'i is making is that if you have any precious metals like gold, silver, and you pay zakah on it, every year that you keep it, and you have it or you own it or possess it. But the plants, no matter what you get, you only pay the zakah on it once. Once you cultivate it, you pay zakah on it, and that's it. And no matter how long you keep it, you don't pay zakah on it again. And the Sheikh is talking about the retirement investment. And he said that all institutions nowadays, they give you retirement investment or part of your salary. Now, do you have to pay zakah on this retirement? No, you don't. And as long you are working, because you did not have possession on it, because that's the main principal condition on zakat, that you have to have possession on the property, the wealth, the money. Because maybe at the end it will be a big amount of money, but you don't have possession on it. You cannot use it for whatever you pleases. You cannot do that. So until you have possession of it, that's when you pay zakah on it after a year. The other one, once it is given to once the person has the possession of it, then he will make zakah on it, just like any extra income. But how about the insurance you pay for the house when you're renting? This part of zakah now. And the Sheikh is talking not about the insurance, he's talking about the deposit. You don't have to pay zakah on it, on the renter, because he have no possession of it. But you can see the sequence in here, the importance in paying zakah, that you have to have possession on the property, the money, the wealth, whatever it is. Without possession, you're not going to pay zakah. You always remember this rule, this golden rule about any type of zakah. How about someone who writes? Does he have to pay zakah on his writings? The zakah of knowledge, that you have to spend it to teach people on it. But from if you have started like an encyclopedia or something, you have to pay zakah on it yearly. First, now you could see the licensing for any invention, any kind of writing of a book. There is a financial gain that you could get out of it, but you pay the zakah on it, because you don't have to pay zakah, because there is no the conditions for zakah is not applied. Like, because if you write a book and you have the right for that book or that series of book or whatever it is, you only pay the zakah once you gain the money from writing the book, and then that money, it will have the same conditions or same rules that you pay on any income that you get. Once it goes beyond your need, whatever you keep for 1 year, that's what you pay zakah on, just like every other money condition. Now, is tax, can you take tax out of zakah, like when you pay taxes? No. And what's the relationship between taxes and zakah? The scholar, they have divided money into two types. You have the animals in one type, one category, and then you have the plants in the other. There should be an institution in the Muslim state that will talk about the zakah and these issues, and it's not left to the personal interpretation of the amounts, because the Prophet ﷺ and the Khulafa, they used to send their workers to collect the zakah of people, to calculate it and to collect it. So the state will spend it in its places and to send it to the right people. And we saw how Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he had put an army to fight those who prevented paying the zakah, those who prevented the zakah workers to come in. He said if they stop him from the rope that you tie a camel with, that they used to pay for the Prophet, I would fight them for him. Now, this is the exposed money. This is the one that you could see, like the plants and the live cattle. But what about the trade contract? Then the Imam, he has the right to be in charge of paying the zakah until Uthman ibn Affan, he saw the public interest to time of the Prophet ﷺ, Umar, all the money the state will collect it and spend it. It is narrated the Prophet that someone from Najd came to the Prophet asking him about Islam. He said 5 prayers every day and night. He said, do you have anything else besides? He said, no, unless you volunteer. And he said, to fast Ramadan. He said, do you have anything else? No, except you volunteer. Then the Prophet told him, zakah. He said, do you have anything? He said, no, unless you volunteer. Then the man left. He said, Allah, I will not increase nor will I decrease. He said he succeeded if he are truthful. So the thing is, when the zakah was mentioned, he said it is okay. That a Bedouin came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, show me work that I will do and I will enter Jannah. He said, you worship Allah, don't have associate with him. You pray and you make fasting, you pay the zakah. He said, by Allah who I hold, I will not increase on this. When he left, he ﷺ said, whomever like to look at a person from the people of Jannah, let him look at that man. Also, what was narrated, even though it does not get to the good hadith, there is no money, no right in money except zakah, or there is no other right in the money except zakah. This is the proof of those who say there is no any rights in money except zakah. But those who said there is a right besides zakah, they said there's rights for the parents, the relatives, the woman, the spouse, and the livestock, and all of these rights are outside the zakah. So that's stress. There is more rights besides zakah. You are required to pay on your wife, on your son, on your parents. You don't spend from the zakah money because this is different duties. If someone has a cat, he is supposed to feed it. But if he did not, if he prevented from eating by himself, then he will enter hellfire. So there's rights in the money or the wealth besides the rights of the zakah. When you look at both of these issues, you find the zakah is the annual right that's due on the money, and what is required on individuals, the possession of the money. Like, let's say you have money that you have to pay zakah. If there is no poverty on earth, you still required to pay zakah. Whether there's people are due to or not, so you are required to pay zakah because you own that money, you have possession of it. But the other rights, these are occasional, like when you have a guest, you don't tell them, no, go to spend on your parents if they are in need. Maybe Allah Azza wa Jal give them, they don't need you. All these are rights. Someone did not get married. And also what the scholars call tawzif. What does it mean? If there's calamity that happened to people and all the resources were not enough to cover that resources, that calamity, then he can ask or demand some money from the rich to cover this calamity that he is going through. And this is an emergency law. This is an emergency, like whenever there's floods, war, earthquakes, whatever the calamity that hit the whole society at large. So there is no annual right on the money except the zakah, but there is some other requirement. There's other dues, like we have mentioned, the dues that you have to do to your parents, to the guests, to your wife, and so on and so forth. How about the taxes? If we say that there is rights besides zakah, is there taxes among these rights? what makes the wealth of the Muslim is sacred. It's not permissible except with his permission. So there is no need for taxes, then it shouldn't be there. But there had to be fairness in the taxes. So you cannot tax some over others. It does not mean equality, because people are not equal in their income. But you could change the rate depends on the income. And you have to spend it in the public areas, not on the desires of the rulers and use on their private things. And this is where the difference between Khilafah and kingdom. Salman asked Umar, he said, am I a king or a Khalifa? He said, if you took 1 dirham and you take it in something beside its dues, then you are a king, not a Khalifa. And this is the difference. So to take more money, so for on those personal desire, this is the nukus, this is one of the big sins. The Prophet ﷺ talked about the one who committed adultery. He said she had made a tawbah. If the person who did next, Allah will forgive him. So that shows that the person who do next, which is to take money or it was tax money, then he have committed a major one. Is the paying taxes enough than paying the zakah? No. Because zakah is part of religion, taxes is something that the authority or the state is required for their own things, because it could be spent in something else. It is a civilian obligation from the civilians to the state for their public interest. But where the zakah, it is a required religious part that you have to spend as avenues that Allah Azza wa Jal has clearly clarified in the Quran. And the other thing, the taxes is something that is required by the king or the authority, where the zakah comes from Allah Azza wa Jal, or the percentage, all the rates comes from Allah, and this is the only source for the rates on the zakah, where the tax is something that only the rulers, the civilian authorities, are the one who had decided the amount or the percentage of that. Again, as we said before, that the expenses of the zakah is something that you don't do it on all places. So there is a difference between where you spend the zakah and where you spend the tax. The taxes, it is decided by the rulers, and the zakah, you have only 8 avenues to spend that zakah. And you have to spend the zakah and this is the relationship between a person and his Lord, and you have to do it knowing who you are giving it to you, what you are spending it on, and be happy with it. And there's a major difference between that and the taxes. So you cannot say, I paid my taxes, so I don't have to pay zakah, because this is an Islamic requirement, and the other one is a civilian requirement. And this is an ibadah that Allah ordered. Allah said, take from their money or their wealth a sadaqah that you provide them, and ask Allah's forgiveness on them. If your forgiveness to them, it is great or beneficial for them. Like if you have some money from taxes that came in right before you have that your annual time that you pay the zakah, then you pay the zakah on it. But if it comes after, then you pay it on the next year's zakah. So if you have tax credits in Ramadan or next month, or Sha'ban before that, this is money, you look at it as individual money that you added to your other principal money and you pay zakat. So if it came after that, then you put it on the next year expenses. That's Allah to accept from us. Inshallah, we'll continue tomorrow.
مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح